Had a really cool opportunity last week to interview one of the top up-and-coming Americans. His name is Bruno Kuzuhara. He won the Australian Open singles and doubles. It was probably the windiest day I ever had down there, but we tried to give you the best thing we could. Check it out.
Hey, Jonas, congrats on the win.
Yeah, thank you.
So I kind of interested in how your career started. I know you're from Brazil. You talked about that a little bit before. Kind of go on that.
Yeah. So, like we talked about, I guess too. So, my parents they moved here. They moved here from Brazil along with my uncle. They got a job transfer and then they moved here. And being from Brazil, they always wanted to play tennis, but there's almost zero courts there. Everything's private. So here in the U.S., public courts everywhere, and they would just go and just play. Bought their rackets from Walmart and just did everything and went out and played. And then they would just take me along to babysit me, and pretty much I would just want to hit balls. They would just feed me balls, and I would just hit balls and just pretend I was like the top guy. So
And I think that love for the game is why you had success in Australia. Can you talk about that run and then over the transition to pros now?
yeah, I mean, Australia was great. My first time there, and honestly, being the first slam, it's great that everyone feels like they're happy. The people there also make everything really hospitable, and yeah, it was just amazing to win, especially be able to win on Rod Laver.
Yeah. So transition to pros, you played qualies in US Open Australia. Playing pro event here. What's that been kind of like?
Yeah, I mean the transition, it's a bit tough, different. I think you travel a lot more. That's the number one thing. Obviously, like playing juniors, you kind of get like a micro dose of that. You kind of a condensed schedule, but you travel a lot. You're playing guys who are trying to make this as their living. So every point, every match is just that much important.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing you want to work on after having this small dosage? I know.
Yeah, I think the big thing I felt like I needed to work on from juniors to pro was just I think the big two things, which was just serve and return, because you barely get looks at break points nowadays, and if you're able to really be dialed in on like serving and returning, you just make those chances a lot easier to convert.
Yeah, and I know you talked about it with me off camera. It's like you're figuring out if you're going to play at Delray this week. What's kind of like the week by week? How do you know where you're going to go, or what's your schedule?
So it's always a mess. You always want to play like the higher. I guess you kind of have a tentative schedule, but if you get like an opportunity, like I said, to play Delray or just play another higher event, you always take it because you never know when you're going to get it again.
Yeah. Actually, two questions. So we have a lot of high school, middle school athletes that watch this. What's the best piece of advice you give them about playing tennis in the sport?
I think you have to enjoy it. If you wanna play tennis, do something in tennis. First of all, you have to enjoy it because it's not something that I feel very fortunate to play tennis and I guess have this as my career because a lot of people can't do what they enjoy, and I think that's the number one thing, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, and then it's kind of a hard one because you're just starting out with your career. When your career is over down the line, how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I think obviously hopefully is one of the best, but you have to be really, really good to do that. But I think for me, it's something that I want to be remembered as. That I've always looked up as people that had humble beginnings, didn't really, wasn't the most talented per se, or didn't have all the resources, but someone that worked hard and was able to make it. So I just want to be another example of that.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Hope we see you along with both. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.